What is happening?
What was that walking behind us? I don't know if you guys can hear this, but there's a loud tornado thing going.
Venturing into the woods alone at night can be terrifying. But what happens when you encounter someone, or something, you'd rather never meet? Like this first encounter from Ray Savage, the man behind the YouTube channel Ray RLC. Ray shared some really unsettling footage on May 26, 2025. What started as a simple overnight wildlife recording quickly turned into something far more disturbing. The video began like many of Ray's other explorations, a quiet solo camping trip deep in nature aimed at capturing footage of local wildlife. For this outing, he'd chosen a remote forest trail. The area was quiet, apparently untouched by people, with fresh animal tracks marking the ground. It looked like the perfect place to observe animals in their natural environment. After setting up his campsite nearby, Ray carefully positioned a trail camera and an audio recorder to run through the night. But what they captured was anything but peaceful.
I think the perfect spot would be right here. This good old spot. And just look straight up there, and if any deer come walking by, I'll catch them. And we got her. So here's the trail cam. Got it set up. It's facing over there perfectly. But I've got a nice little treat for you guys. There's the sound recorder. Okay, so I'm going to have the trail cam going. I'm also going to have the sound recorder going. I'm going to listen to the audio first, and then the trail cam, just to see what we hear and then what we see. Because that's kind of the fun, you hear something and then see it later. So we're going to get this going. I'll get that going, and I'll come pick these up tomorrow morning.
Ray spent the rest of his night in peace, enjoying the quiet solitude of the forest, and feeling curious about what his equipment might capture. It had been a simple, refreshing escape into nature. But the next day, back at home, as he reviewed the footage, something stood out. His trail camera had indeed captured various animals passing by, just as hoped. But among those clips was one segment that felt completely out of place. Something strange had been recorded, and as Ray watched it, a chill ran down his spine. The figure on the footage carried no flashlight and moved with a slow, deliberate pace, more like something out of a horror movie than real life. Ray could hardly believe what he was seeing. The man appeared to emerge from the darkness without warning, silently creeping through the woods. He was shirtless, barefoot, and armed with an axe, wandering through the forest in the dead of night. It was deeply unsettling. This wasn't a popular hiking trail, especially not at that hour. It was hard to imagine any reasonable explanation for someone to be in that particular part of the woods at 4 a.m., let alone in that state, carrying a weapon. But perhaps the most disturbing thought was this. While Ray was asleep in his tent, this man was out there, somewhere nearby. Thankfully, Ray never came face to face with him. But still, it's safe to say he won't be camping in those woods again. It's unsettling to realize that sometimes, in the wild, the greatest danger doesn't come from nature or wildlife, but from other humans. However, in the next clip, it's not just any humans, but ones that may no longer be among the living. Quick interruption. If you're enjoying this video, why not hit that subscribe button? We're on a mission to hit 300,000 subscribers, and when we do, 3 lucky fans will win a limited edition items. Right now, 61.2% of you watching haven't subscribed yet. We're pushing for at least 40%, and we need your help to make it happen. It's completely free, and your support helps us make even more awesome videos. So, don't miss out, subscribe now, and let's get back to the video. And that brings us to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, site of one of the most significant and brutal battles in American history. The Battle of Gettysburg, fought from July 1st to 3rd, 1863, unfolded across the fields and ridges surrounding the town. With over 50,000 combined casualties, it remains the deadliest battle of the Civil War, and in all of American history. It's no surprise that a place with such a heavy past might still carry traces of it. The following clips were recorded by two separate campers who were simply visiting the area for a quiet getaway. Neither of them expected anything unusual, but what their cameras ended up capturing felt like echoes from a time long gone.
Okay. Don't move in there. No, there's a motorcycle. See?
I don't see nothing down there. Can't be the motorcycles, honey. There's another sparkler. You see what I'm
What's
saying?
that? What is that?
Tree.
No. You moved it, right? Right there. See it?
Uh-huh.
Look.
There's nobody there. Where? I can't see.
Look. Isn't it those people?
Can't be.
There's nobody.
Not up in the trees.
There's nobody down there no more.
Faint figures can be seen in the distance, apparently marching across a rocky area, their movements almost ghost-like. At times, they even seem to float just above the ground. Given the history of the country, it's easy to wonder if these shapes could somehow be connected to the soldiers who once fought and fell there. But perhaps the most unsettling part is that this wasn't an isolated incident. While the first clip was recorded back in 2001, another family camping in the same area captured something eerily similar just 5 years later in 2006. And what's even more striking, it was at the exact same spot.
Look at that orb up in the tree. No. See that flashing?
What makes it even stranger is that, despite the 5-year gap, the shadowy figures in both clips appear to move in exactly the same way, step for step, as if replaying something long forgotten. Could they be echoes of the past? Trapped souls, endlessly retracing their final moments, still searching for a way home? Many believe Gettysburg is one of the most haunted places in the world, and the comments under these videos seem to support that. Dozens of people shared their own unsettling experiences in the area, suggesting that what was captured on film might only be a small glimpse of what still lingers there. This might still be unexplainable, but in this clip, there was little mystery about what was captured by Adam. The creator behind the YouTube channel Ad's Adventures, where he takes his viewers along on his travels in a trusty camper van, sharing his journey with thousands of followers. From breathtaking landscapes to hidden gems, his adventures are often uplifting and full of discovery. But life on the road can also be unpredictable and sometimes unsettling. And this video he uploaded on June 23, 2025, is a perfect example. That day, Adam had been driving for hours toward the small town of Winchelsea in East Sussex, England. He planned to spend the night there before continuing his journey the next day. It didn't take long before he found a quiet spot to park and settle in for the night.
We do also have some sheep over this side as well. So let's drop the anchors and prepare to live. So let's just give you a little tour of my garden, shall we? So over here, well, this is my front garden anyway. We've got plenty more sheep for the eye to feast upon. An absolutely exquisite lump of scenery, if you ask me. There's a few maniac drivers that come speeding along here sometimes, but I'm pretty well protected by that bank that's behind the van. But over these steps here, on the other side of this little ridge, we have what you can only really describe as my back garden. And although it is a little bit windy today, I certainly can't complain about my surroundings. So for now, unless we have cars start driving dangerously close to me, I think I'm going to call this home for the night.
Satisfied with the spot he'd found, Adam settled in for the evening. He relaxed, made himself some dinner, and everything seemed to be going just as planned. But then, something caught his attention. Outside the van, something strange appeared to be happening. Subtle at first, but enough to make him pause.
I'm so confused about what's going on outside, right? Look at this. What is that? It looks like smoke coming out. Right, hold on a second, this is bad. Right, some lorry was just outside mine. Or just out the front. I swear that's a fire, that is not clouds. What is happening? It is. What is happening? Right, so I'm trying to film me at the same time as filming the fire up there. Something bad's happened, obviously. I know who it was because there was someone on my CCTV. It was all a bit weird. I'll tell you about it in a minute. I'm going to go speak to this bus driver.
Whereabouts are we?
We're in Winchelsea.
Down near Winchelsea Beach. There's a fire involving a caravan by the looks of it.
Level Road.
Okay, thank you, my love. They've had several more calls. I've just rang them, and basically they are on their way.
Right.
They have had more calls.
I'm just going to go spin my van around in case someone comes back and does that to my van, because someone's done that.
It has looked like it has been done.
Well, it has been done because the geezer just ran past me, jumped in his motor and sped off that way.
It could be arson then.
Right, someone's set fire to the van that's just down the road behind me. Apologies, I know you won't be able to see much on my camera right now, but I'm walking up the little ramp up onto the wall of the beach. The camper van is now in ashes on the floor. It's been completely burnt out. You can see the guys just down there spraying the last bits to make sure it's fully out.
While eating his dinner, Adam had noticed a man running past his camper van, and seconds later, he realized that nearby vehicle had caught fire. Given the timing, it was hard not to assume the man had something to do with it. Fortunately, no one appeared to be inside the burning vehicle at the time. But that only raised more questions. Adam couldn't help but think how different the outcome might have been if it had been his van instead. The thought of staying the night in that same spot, knowing someone might be targeting campers, didn't sit well with him. So, without waiting for morning, he packed up and drove off into the night. Later, still unsettled by the event, Adam remembered that his camper van was equipped with CCTV. He had heard someone run by, and now he was eager to check the footage and find out if anything had been captured during the incident.
He got out of his van from here. He's walked along past my van and he has approached the stairs which lead up towards the beach. So he's made his way up those stairs and he's come along the top bit here. Now, as he's got to about this point right here, you can see him on my camera. He bends down and he's sort of preparing something. He's probably got, I don't know, petrol in his lighters or whatever. But basically he's doing something up on this spot here where he's sort of ducking down and looking in his bag or whatever it is. Now he's doing that for about 30 seconds and then he starts heading down this ramp here, back towards the spot over here where the fire took place. So now he's back down on the road here and he's not far from where the inferno took place. And as you can see, it is just here in front of us. Now at this point you can't really see exactly what he does, but that's the last I see of him for a while, because what I think must have happened, there were cars coming up and down this road at the time, so he's probably just wanted to get away from this as quick as possible, and he's taken this route up here, so I couldn't see that bit on the camera, and I didn't spot him again for a while until he was further back there. So he's come all the way along this bit on top of the beach basically. He hasn't even come this close to the road here because I couldn't spot him at all on this bit. The next time you see him on the CCTV, he's literally standing up there on the bank next to his van and he's sort of looking back, probably to check that the fire's started properly. And once he realises his mission is complete, that's when he runs back down the steps past my van at an extraordinary rate, ran past the van that way and up here. Now, as soon as I heard his footsteps running and panting past my van, I looked up on the CCTV. I was like, what's all that about? Why is someone out for a run at this time of night? But I saw that he jumped straight into his van and sped off, which I thought was a bit weird, and I was wondering why. But in my head, I just come to the conclusion that maybe he'd been caught short. He needed the toilet, and he'd run up onto the beach, done his business, and then he jumped back in the van and just carried on his journey.
There was almost no doubt that the man captured on Adam's CCTV was the one who started the fire. But even with that, many questions remained. Was this a random act? Someone simply looking to set something alight? If so, Adam had been incredibly lucky that his van wasn't chosen. Or was the burned-out vehicle specifically targeted? Perhaps because it had been sitting there for a long time, drawing attention. Whatever the reason, one thing is certain. This was a night Adam won't forget anytime soon. And that brings us to the next clip, where Nicolette and Brian also experienced an unforgettable night in their motorhome. Nicolette and Brian are a couple who travel full-time in their camper van, sharing their adventures so that others can enjoy the beauty and the challenges of life on the road. But while their lifestyle is often filled with freedom and breathtaking scenery, it doesn't always come without its risks. On February 26, 2023, the couple made their way to Oklahoma, planning to spend the night at a peaceful spot in Lake Thunderbird State Park. But shortly after settling in, they received news that changed the tone of their stay entirely. Severe weather was approaching, and not just any bad weather. A tornado was heading their way.
Said that the most severe storm of the year is now coming through Oklahoma, and we didn't feel comfortable with the lake.
No, there was trees, we were in the middle of nowhere, right by the water.
Yep, and right now, in about 5 to 10 minutes, the storm is gonna hit us, and there is multiple tornado watches, severe weather storms, severe high wind advisory, I guess 70 miles per hour. So we decided just to stay in the van. We don't really know. Yeah, we don't feel the most comfortable.
Oklahoma right now is under a tornado watch, literally the whole state. So we wouldn't be able to get out of the watch even if we wanted to.
See, Nicolette will show you, we'll put on the screen right now, kind of what's coming right towards us at this moment. And it's this huge wall of tornado, wind, stuff like that, but supposedly it's going to hit us now.
Over about 100 miles west of us, a tractor trailer was chipped over while driving on the interstate. Like, it's not recommended that you drive, especially if you're a taller vehicle.
With no real experience handling extreme weather like this, you can imagine the tension a tornado warning brought to the couple. Unsure of what to expect, but knowing they had to act quickly, Nicolette and Brian drove to the nearest gas station in search of shelter. There, they waited, doing their best to stay calm, stay informed, and hope for the best as the storm approached.
I don't know if you guys can hear this, but there's a loud tornado thing going. I don't know what we're supposed to do. Why don't you just come down there?
Here comes the hail. There's a person running. I feel terrible. It's a girl. Is she okay? He's a freaking... It is not pleasant out there. We're not used to this, y'all, so this is a little scary.
We're just going to wait it out. We're going to be okay.
The worst of the storm is coming through, so it's just a little scary to see it coming and then it arriving. I don't know how y'all deal with this all the time. I really do not. The winds are crazy. I've never experienced winds like this.
We don't want them to just stop and pick up again. That means you're in like an eye of a storm.
As the storm intensified, the couple began to feel increasingly unsafe. Their camper van no longer felt like a secure place to wait it out. So, realizing they needed stud shelter, Nicolette and Brian made the decision to head inside the gas station. But that wasn't as simple as it sounds. Nicolette lives with a spinal cord injury and relies on a wheelchair to move around. Getting through the heavy rain and wind while navigating that situation added even more stress to an already frightening moment.
In Oklahoma your whole life?
Yeah.
And you're totally used to this? So when you see some guy like bring in a girl and throw her on the floor, you're like, what the hell?
No, I thought something was wrong with you. They say it's a tornado on the ground here in Norman right now. Going to get my nephew. The wind blowing so hard. I mean, we can see debris just blowing everywhere. Okay.
Brian just like runs into the gas station and drops me on the floor with a blanket and then runs back out to go get my wheelchair. And everyone's like, "What's wrong? Are you okay? Like, are you having a baby?"
What can you do?
They didn't think there was a tornado emergency. They thought we had an emergency. Honestly, one of the funniest moments of my entire
It's still not funny to me.
There was a tornado touchdown in Norman. So yeah, power lines down, heading back to the lake. So it doesn't look like we're staying there tonight.
Look at this.
Since the storm passed, we thought it would be a good idea to head back to our campspot at the lake. But, you know, driving over here, it's really good that we did not stay here.
It could be live.
Yeah, it needs to be live. Don't want a big power line down.
Yeah, Mike, we're in Norman right now, and it is an absolutely devastating scene here.
We've lost the top story of the house at both ends. It sucked through all the windows and the doors. They're all gone. They just sucked them off of the door frames. It was the weirdest thing. Yeah.
The next morning, when we woke up, we looked at the storm damage in Norman and Lake Thunderbird and felt extremely blessed that ourselves and our van made it through the storm.
Nicolette and Brian were incredibly lucky. The tornado had just missed them and their camper van. They could thankfully laugh about it afterward, relieved that things hadn't ended worse. But as they drove away, passing the damage left behind to other people's homes and belongings, the mood turned more somber. Still, one thing stood out. The way Brian supported Nicolette, helping her into the gas station to ensure her safety, was truly admirable. This moment served as a powerful reminder of how unpredictable nature can be, especially when your safety depends on the weather and the strength of those around you. Luckily, their story had a hopeful ending. Although this next video from the YouTube channel, Lou Rock, takes us in a very different direction. For the past 8 years, Lou has explored abandoned and allegedly haunted places, capturing eerie moments that have gradually shifted his views about what might lie beyond life. But in the video he shared on May 9th, 2018, Lou took a different approach, a camping trip with his friends Joe and Todd. What began as a relaxed night around the campfire, filled with stories, laughter, and the peaceful sounds of nature, took a turn when they remembered something they'd spotted earlier that day. Just a short distance from their camp stood an old abandoned building. Curious and looking to add a little excitement to their night, the three friends decided to go check it out. The building was clearly worn down and forgotten, and Lou, Todd, and Joe were intrigued, unaware that this visit would leave them more unsettled than they expected.
Holy crap, that's a big spider web. Ooh, what's that smell?
Smells like sulfur, right?
Oh my gosh. Are you serious?
Smells like sulfur over here, real bad.
Real bad.
Yeah.
What is that?
Right here.
What is that? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, what was that walking behind us?
Got chills. Got chills all over. Something was right.
This place could literally fall down at any time. Completely. Holy crap. You're nuts. You guys are nuts.
The three friends couldn't shake off the eerie vibe that surrounded the house, and the unpleasant smell in the air didn't help either. Still, it wasn't unlike other explorations they'd done before, so they continued on, checked out the building, and eventually made their way back to the campsite to enjoy the rest of their evening. At the time, nothing seemed too out of the ordinary. There was a strange whisper caught on camera, but the group hadn't noticed it at the moment. And while that was already unusual, it wasn't the most disturbing part. That came later, after the video was uploaded. Viewers began to point out something chilling. A figure, apparently female, dressed in white or something similar, standing silently near the crumbling house. Lou and his friends hadn't seen anything that night. It's easy to miss at first, but once you do, it's hard to unsee. That figure, whatever it was never seen by Lou, Todd, or Joe at the time. It was only through the eyes of their viewers that the strange sighting came to light. And the more people watched, the more unsettling it became. Was it just a trick of the light? A piece of debris caught at the right angle? Or did they unknowingly capture something otherworldly? To this day, there's been no clear explanation. But one thing is certain. What started as a fun night of camping turned into one of the most mysterious moments they've ever experienced on camera. So, what do you think they caught that night near the abandoned house? Just a coincidence, or something truly unsettling? Let us know your thoughts. Now, shifting gears to another explorer of the unknown. Dan, the creator behind Cursed Urban, thrives on pushing boundaries, the kind that makes most people turn back. In this last clip, Dan took his pursuit of fear to a whole new level by heading alone into one of the Midwest's most infamous forests. Dan is an adventurer, thrill seeker, and the face behind Cursed Urban, a YouTube channel you may already know from exploring some of the most unsettling places across the United States. From abandoned asylums to haunted forests, Dan has built a reputation for going where most people wouldn't dare. And in this video, shared on May 10th, 2025, he set out to spend the night in a remote forest somewhere in the American Midwest, a place surrounded by chilling legends. Locals say it's haunted by spirits, and possibly even inhabited by skinwalkers. Eager to see for himself whether there's any truth to these stories, Dan wastes no time upon arrival. With the sun already dipping below the trees, he begins his hike deeper into the woods, looking for a quiet spot to set up camp. But it doesn't take long before the calm of the forest begins to shift, and the tension starts to rise.
I just heard something whistling down the trail, really far away. It could have just been somebody. It could have been somebody where I came from. Actually, I hear other hikers too. Yeah, that might have been them, because I hear other people too. Yeah, looks like we're gonna need the lights. I was trying to postpone it for as long as I could, but the darkness is getting here. And it's a lot, guys, it is a lot darker than it looks on camera. Like right now, like you can see the sky, it looks like, you know, whatever. But I'll show you what I'm actually looking at.
Yes, it's me.
That's about what I'm looking at right now. That's how I see everything. So,
knowing that there are still some other people somewhere in the woods gives Dan a small sense of comfort. But still, as the daylight fades and the forest is swallowed by shadows, an eerie tension settles in. No matter how hard he tries, it's impossible to ignore the shift in atmosphere.
Did you guys hear that? What was that? Dude, what was that? I guess we'll find out, because we got to go back that way. Moon's up, getting dark out. Maybe activity's going to start picking up. Yeah, there was something definitely back there. And that wasn't a squirrel, that's for sure. But I don't see anything. But it sounded super close, and that was loud too.
With the forest around him now almost entirely cloaked in darkness, Dan decides it's time to stop as soon as possible with hiking and pick a spot to set up camp for the night. Still, he can't shake the unsettling feeling that something, or someone, has been following him. It makes him uneasy, yet somehow, it only fuels his curiosity about what the night might reveal.
So those of you who are unfamiliar with Illinois or whatever, we don't have bears, we don't have mountain lions, we don't have bobcats, we don't have boar. All we have really for animals is like coyote, deer, small mammals, beaver, woodchucks, squirrels, and of course, we don't have any like predators aside from coyote. So there's nothing that would be following me like that. There's nothing like, it just doesn't make sense for it to be like, you know, like something like that. Especially, dude, I swear, I'm not even joking with you guys. Like, I swear something was looking at me from around the tree. And it was probably about my height. So, yeah, just really, really, really bizarre start to the evening. But I would have it no other way. I would have it no other way. This looks like good a place, if any, for camp. Just need to clear a few sticks out of the way so my tent does not get punctured. It's definitely not as cold out as I thought it was going to be, thankfully. So I'm just going to set up the tent, set up the sleeping bag. So I just got the tent set up, got the, why am I explaining that? You guys know I set the tent up. Got the sleeping bag in there, got the chair in there, some smaller stuff. And then I took a break and I just set the camera down on this table. I was just replying to some of my text messages. And then I noticed something. I noticed walking sounds around the entire campsite. And it sounded exactly like when I was just on that last path and I said something was following me. That's to the T what it sounded like.
Dan set up his camp for the night and took a moment trying to relax. But the uneasy feeling of being followed lingered, one he just couldn't shake. Although he had come here in hope to capture something remarkable, which made himself stuck between that nervous edge and a strong sense of anticipation. As Dan became almost certain that something had been following him but didn't see anything move, he didn't rule out the possibility that what he was hearing and feeling might be paranormal. For a long time, he tried to communicate using his ghost hunting equipment, but with no success. Still, several strange sounds came from the woods, and that tense, uneasy feeling never fully went away. Despite this, Dan stayed the night, uneasy from the mysterious footsteps, yet also a bit disappointed that he never saw any movement. So, what do you think? Was Dan just imagining things? Could it have been a harmless animal lurking just out of sight? Or was it something far more unsettling? Something beyond our understanding? Now that was all for today, folks. If you enjoyed these horrifying clips, subscribe to my channel and click to see more on the video on screen.